We're live, Bob.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 and Dakota Nation's territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. This morning, I will be chairing the hearing. My name is Robert Hutchings. Joining me on the panel today is Mr. Ian Mahone and Mr. Bill Moretsky, representing the Assessment and Taxation Department, City of Winnipeg, is Ms. Nichols, and our secretary today is Ms. Niepen. To the participants of the hearing, please note that you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be admitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. Today we will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by this Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed further to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with this Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following their swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the panel may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questioning by the assessor first and then the board members. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions based on the evidence presented here today. You'll receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Today on the docket, we will be hearing items number 5, 8, 9, and 11. Okay, excuse me. Michelle, could you please swear in the assessor, and the first appellant will be from 114 Niagara Street. I'm not sure if they're here or not, but could you swear in the assessor, please?
Yes, they're in the room with us actually, but we'll start with swearing in the assessor.
Okay.
Good morning, Ms. Assessor. Can you state your full name, please?
Jennifer Nichols.
And do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. And Tracy, are you both going to be giving evidence this morning? And I'll start with okay. Can you state your full name, Tracy Edmonds? Do you affirm that the evidence about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you, Michelle. Good morning, applicants.
Good morning.
We are dealing with 114 Niagara Street. We're dealing with a 2022 realty assessment appeal. And Ms. Nichols, I note that there is a recommendation on the property. Would you mind just introducing the property for the record and go through the recommendation, then we'll see if the appellants are in agreement or not. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So 114 Niagara Street, roll number 120609330000, two-story property built in 2019, 2,555 square feet with a finished basement. The current 2022 assessment is $1,065,000, and I am recommending a reduction to $958,000 just to bring it in line with the comparables that I was able to find.
Okay. Just to recap, the current assessment is $1,065,000, and you've got a recommendation of $958,000 based on looking at the comparisons you were finding in the marketplace.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Okay, to the appellants, I'll first ask the question. I'm not sure if you're aware of that recommendation, but are you in agreement?
What would that amend our tax to?
If you look at to the assessor's brief, there'll be the recommendation written on the brief in writing at the bottom there by the assessor's assessment information. To the right of that is the recommendation.
That was the document. I emailed you the documents. Oh, yeah. We haven't had a chance to look at that yet.
Yeah, okay, well, then I can summarize it. The current assessment is $1,065,000 for 2022. Right. And the assessor is recommending $958,000, so a reduction of about around $100,000. There's no obligation for you to accept that, but if you'd like to discuss it and let us know if you're in agreement, and if not, we'll proceed further with the appeal.
What is the revised property tax amount based on this recommendation? I guess that's what we need to know.
Pardon me?
What is the new, what would the annual property tax be based on this recommendation, the reduction?
Oh, you know what? We don't deal with the taxes at all. There is apportionment of that amount, and then the mill rate is applied to it. But we're just looking at if that value represents fair market value for 2018.
Okay. I don't think we're prepared to accept a rate at this point. There's a couple of things we wanted to discuss.
Of course. Okay. Okay. So for the record, the appellants are not comfortable with that recommendation, Ms. Nichols. So we shall proceed with the appeal, please.
Okay. So starting with comparable number 1. 403 Oxford Street, also a two-story built in 2010, so a little older than the subject property. It's in an adjacent neighborhood, so not the same neighborhood as the subject, but a close-by neighborhood. 2,467 square feet of living area with a finished basement and a multiple-car detached garage. And so this property sold for a time-adjusted sale price of $916,800. or $371, just over $371 per square foot. Comparable number 2 is in the same neighborhood as comparable number 1, so an adjacent neighborhood to the subject. Also a two-story. This property is older, quite a bit older, built in 1925, but it has been extensively renovated. Has an effective year built of 2000. 2,319 square feet of living area, full finished basement. And this property has a single detached garage. And in 2016, this property sold for a time-adjusted sale price of $921,500. Comparable number 3 is in the same area as the subject. It is a two-story, again, older, built in 1929, but again has been extensively renovated with an effective year built in 1994. 2,716 square feet of living area. So this property is slightly larger than the subject, has a full basement, which is finished. And this property also has an attached garage. And so comparable number 3 sold for a time adjusted sale price of $1,058,400. And finally, comparable number 4, again, in the same neighborhood as the subject, a two-story built in 2018, so very close in age to the subject, This property is quite a bit smaller though, 1,626 square feet, full basement which is finished, and no garage for this property. And so comparable number 4 sold in January of 2018. The time adjusted sale price is $583,100. So the sale price is low, of course, because this property is quite a bit smaller. But the time adjusted sale price per square foot is 358, just over 358 per square foot. So I think just looking at the comparables, and so I think that the subject is definitely within a reasonable range with the recommendation. I did think that the original assessment value was high, but I think at $958,000 or just under $375 a square foot, I think that brings it in line with the comparables that I was able to find. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Do the appellants have any questions of the assessor's evidence presented so far? You will have an opportunity to make your own presentation, but can we just focus in on what the assessor's presented so far and any questions you have on that evidence?
I feel a little underprepared here. I wish we'd had this information prior to our meeting today, which is kind of making me think maybe we should reschedule and come back at a future date, because we didn't have any of this to look at. We do have our own comparables, but we didn't bring them because we hadn't submitted them. We were told we needed to submit before the meeting today. Does that make sense to perhaps table ours and come back?
Excuse me. So Michelle, can you tell the process on when the appellants received the brief and the notification of appeal hearing? Is that possible?
Sorry, you want me to explain the process as to when we hand out the briefs?
Yeah, no, when the appellants received the assessor's brief.
Right.
And the instructions for what they should have brought to the hearing.
Okay, so in your notice letter that was sent out to you, it would have explained in there, which was mailed out to you in August, as to what the process was as far as submitting evidence to us.
Yeah, we did get that, but we didn't bring.
And you did submit evidence to us, actually, right?
We submitted our floor plans because the square footage is incorrect, but we didn't have this comparable information until right now.
Right. And yeah, our process is, unfortunately, we're not able to hand out an assessor's brief to an applicant prior to the beginning of the meeting. So I don't know if you had communication with the assessor or not regarding your application.
I guess our problem is we don't know how to argue this. I mean, being citizens, we're not within the city purview as to what's going on.
Right.
If we knew how to argue this, it would be nice to know. I tried several times to talk to Ms. Nichols. Unfortunately, she's only available 9 till 12. I work 7:30 till 5 with no breaks.
Yeah.
So there's no ability to talk to anybody.
Well,
you did speak with one of my colleagues.
I did finally speak to one of your colleagues, I think 2 weeks ago, with no information regarding any of that. So trying to understand the process is very difficult for an average city person.
Right.
And now that we know,
did you read this attachment that was sent out with your notice letter? It explains the process and what type of evidence is needed for the hearing.
What I got from that is that we're assessing in the year 2018. Is that correct?
Comparing, right.
Okay, in 2018, my house was not even built then. It was a pile of rubble.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at 2018, then if it's a pile of rubble, then I don't know how you compare it to anything.
Right.
Ms. Nichols, would you like to explain the current physical condition as the assessment?
So we are assessing the property in its current condition. So as it is, actually, if you've appealed 2022, it's kind of thinking to what the condition of the property will be on January 1st of 2022. And we're using the reference date of April 1st of 2018. So we're using the current physical condition of the property, and then we're looking back at the market to see what a house like that would have sold for on April 1st of 2018.
Okay. Well, We do have 3 properties that are comparable.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to bring those up then from
Yeah.
2018.
Okay, so what I'm going to say to you, sir and madam, is that you are welcome to provide verbal evidence, and we'll document, if you can go slowly for us, we'll document what you're presenting, and we'll certainly question you for clarification on anything that you present, okay? So we can go slowly to proceed with the hearing. I'm not sure if you have in front of you the assessor's brief.
What I can do is I'll put the computer on.
Well, is that this?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got that.
Would it be easier for you to look on the computer? No?
I think I'm okay with this.
That's fine.
Thanks.
Okay. I would, are you comfortable with proceeding? We'll go slowly. You can present verbal evidence. We will document everything you say, each panel member, and we'll certainly understand your evidence presented before you leave this hearing. Okay, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I think I've just confirmed that you both do have the assessor's evidence presented, the assessor's brief it's called, that would document the details of your subject property in row 1, and then to the right of that are 4 comparables. The assessor's required to present 4 comparables of homes that have sold with your housing style and your area, your neighborhood, to defend, or in this case, recommend a reduction in the original assessment based on the market evidence that she's presented. So my question to you is, do you have any, if you want to take a moment to review and take your time asking questions on it, but do you have any questions on the evidence presented so far by the assessor? You'll have ample opportunity to make your presentation from your side of your argument, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So if you'd like to analyze the assessor's brief, and if you have any questions from her, we'll proceed with that, okay? So, I'll summarize for you. The assessor presented the subject property. Original assessment was $1,065,000. She looked at the market evidence, and she's finding in the marketplace. She's coming up with a newer 1-story. She can't create sales. She's going to only go with what has sold. And she's come up with a similar age. In an ideal world, she find the same age as yours in the same neighborhood. But, a lot of the homes there aren't that many infill homes, I guess, in the area of your style. And she came up with a newer one in comp number 1, about the same 2,500 square feet. If you look down on the time adjusted sale price, that sold for about $372 a square foot. Comp number 2 is between Academy and Wellington Crescent on Cordova Street. Originally built in 1925. It was a 2-story also, but it was renovated extensively to make it an effective age of 2000. So it was an older house, but there's been a lot of renovations done in there, possibly an addition, but it's making it an effective age or an age equivalent of 2000, built in 2000. It's about 2,300 square feet. Similar lot size. It only has a single garage as opposed to a multiple garage on yours. And the evidence there is at $397 a square foot, time adjusted. The third comparison is 860 Wellington Crescent. So it's on Wellington Crescent. I assume it's in the same neighborhood, but probably around the corner. Originally built in 1929, had major renovations done to it with an effective age of 1994. It's a bit larger at 2,700 square feet. Does have a traffic influence on Wellington Crescent. Larger lot. Does got a built-in garage, inset garage with living space over it. And that sold for about $390 a square foot. Comp number 4 is 148 Burbank Street. So we're between, between Wellington and, I guess that'd be Academy, and Wellington Crescent. And that's a 2-story built in 2018, much smaller square footage, 1,600 plus square feet on a smaller lot, 23,000 square feet. So it looks like an infill, I guess. And that's sold per square foot at $359 a square foot. So the assessor looked at the market evidence, and the original assessment was about $419 on your property. And she, based on that market evidence, with selling prices from about $360 to $398 a square foot, she's made a recommendation to revise your assessment to $375 a square foot. So that summarizes what her brief is showing to the panel, defending her recommendation. I didn't mean to butt in there, but I thought I would summarize it for you quickly, give you an idea of what the brief is portraying and where the assessor is coming from. So based on that, would you have any questions of the assessor?
No, there's actually more and more infill properties in our neighborhood every day. So we did do a drive around, and we looked at on the about 20 houses and what they're currently paying, what their assessed value is according to the City of Winnipeg lot information that's available. Looking at ones whose property was the size of ours, which is something I think that's maybe missing in some of these comparables. We're a 40-foot wide by 20 feet.
We're not going to get into your evidence yet. Do you have any questions of the evidence presented by the assessor?
Just how did she choose these specific ones? Just sort of comparing, because it's not really the same square footage, it's not the same lot size. A couple are in the same block. I'm just curious how she selected these particular properties.
So although there, as you mentioned, of course, there are going to be more and more infill properties going in, kind of day by day, but I'm limited to only look at properties that have sold. So I can't look at, I can't compare the assessments of other infill properties. The property has to have sold on or before April 1st, 2018.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That was my question. Okay, that would be my only question.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sir, any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Again, you have an opportunity to present your evidence right away. Ian, any questions of the assessor's evidence?
I have one question, and I'm not sure if the assessors had a chance to look at the applicant's brief. It is the project data and the load, require load specifications. This house or this residence at 114 Niagara, is it a 2-story or is it a bungalow?
It's a 2-story.
Okay, thank you. That's my only question.
Thank you. Bill, any questions?
Yes, I have a procedural question or clarification for the assessor. The assessment, original assessment was $1,065,000, and is that that's based on the computer program that you use to sort of accumulate all the data, and it results in the number? Is that how it's done?
Yes, yeah, that value was from the model. Yeah.
Okay. So when the computer does this, I forget the name of the program, but when the program does this, does it also take into account sales in the area of comparable properties?
So I don't know, like there's a lot that goes into the model. I can't tell you what exactly the model was using. But generally speaking, it should be the similar types of homes. So, it should be looking at the sales of other 2 stories. It takes into account, the price per square foot that each one is selling for, various attributes. So finished basement, garages, pools, decks, all those kinds of things. And it comes out with a price per square foot based on what other properties are selling for that have those features.
So then after the appeal came through, then you went and looked you're like sort of manually, you went and looked for comparable properties on your own, correct?
Right. Yeah.
And that's why you came up with a different number, because that exercise result, you had determined that the computer was inaccurate, correct?
I wouldn't necessarily, I don't know if I would say inaccurate, but when I looked specifically for infill properties in the area or in nearby areas, there were very, very few that were comparable to the subject property. So just based on the sales that I was able to find to support the value, I just didn't feel that those infill sales did support the value of over $1 million. So that's why I recommended a reduction.
So just one more on that then. So when it's not appealed, when you're just assessing and you're using the model, you don't actually look for comparable properties manually, or only when it's appealed?
We do not look for comparable properties manually for every single property. No, only if it comes to our attention for some reason. It could be through an appeal. It could be permits or renovations be done to the property. There are other ways that it could come to our attention, and we might look for sales, but no, not for every single property.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So what size is it says multiple garage, what size is the garage on the subject?
22 by 22, 22 by 23.
It's a double then? Yeah. Double. So would I be accurate in saying that you used comparable 4 kind of as the closest comparison to determine your value?
I think that comparable, I think comparable 1 and comparable 4 are probably the best, even though comparable 1 is in an adjacent neighborhood, just based on the size and how new it is. And it does have the multiple car garage, where comparable 4 does not. So yeah, I think between those two, those are 2 pretty good comparables. I know the other 2 are older, but I think that with the extensive renovations that they had, that it kind of, those kinds of modernizations do make the home feel a lot newer, even though it is actually an older structure.
Okay, so the garage on comparable 4 doesn't have a garage.
Doesn't have a garage, that's right. Yeah, so that would actually bring the price per square foot up if you added the value of a garage to that property.
Right. So that's a brand new double garage in that neighborhood. How much would that be worth?
I would estimate.
Attached, that is.
Oh, sorry, on the assessment?
Well, just in general. Yeah, when you generally assess, it's not attached, right? It's separate. The garage. Separate from
on the subject?
Yeah, on the subject.
It's attached on the subject property.
It is attached. Oh yes, okay. Yes. Do you know what the new garage adds to the house?
I couldn't tell you specifically what it would add to the property. Yeah, I'm not really sure.
Okay. And you don't have any pictures of this property, right?
The final comparable number 4? No.
Of any properties?
No, I didn't see any photos of it.
We built in our original house, we built a 2-car garage, but that was probably in the early 2000s, and it was about $25,000. It was pretty basic, but I don't know what it would be today with lumber prices.
Okay, no further questions, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, I guess question arising from that, Ms. Nichols, I'm just looking at the lot size difference between the subject property and that comp number 4. And that's built on, I guess, quite a narrow lot, I guess, is it? It's an for demolition and an infill, I guess. Yeah. And 1,700 square feet. So there probably isn't much room for a garage there at all, I guess. Or
probably not.
Probably take up the whole backyard, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And it would almost certainly be detached, not attached.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And any information on building permit on this property?
On on comparable number 4?
No, I'm sorry, on the subject property.
Oh, okay. What kind of information?
The value of a building permit and whether it was a demolition and then a rebuild. I mean, I can ask the appellant, but maybe you've got information on it.
If you want me to quickly look up the permit value, I can. I didn't bring that with me, but I can.
If you don't mind giving me the value, then we'll clarify with the appellant the actual construction cost. But if you don't mind giving me a permit, please, including a demolition permit.
For sure.
Possible.
I think I might have that here. I have our application for the permit for demolition and rebuild. I don't know if I have the actual permit.
Okay, what was the value on the demolition?
I'm not sure if it's in this information.
I'll let the appellant answer, Ms. Nichols.
Okay, sure.
For the previous owners of the building.
I do have the demolition permit here, though, if you want.
Okay, what was the value, please?
So the value of the demolition permit was $22,000,
Okay,
and the value of the new construction was $420,000 on the permit value. And then there was a separate permit for the air conditioning. But I'm just going to check and see if I can. There was a permit for constructing the new detached, it says new detached garage. I'm not sure why the permit says detached.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, sorry. That was a canceled. Or I'm not sure what was happening with that, but yeah. So the permit says it's a detached garage.
Yeah, so the declared construction value was $420,000, which is $165 a square foot, which is probably impossible to build at that price. But anyway, that was the declared value, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay.
All right. And looking at the comps 1 through 3, they've all got age variance on effective ages put on them. That's to reflect, comp number
2
1
and 3.
was a new build. Yeah, 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So they had major renovations and probably the sale price reflected those renovations. Would that be fair?
Yes, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. That's my only questions. Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Nichols. Okay. Now, the appellant, if you'd like to present your evidence, please. I see you've presented the assessors presented a site map of the different comparables, and you presented a blueprint of the house construction, and that's all I see. So I guess the rest of your presentation will be verbal. Okay, when you're ready, please.
Us?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, if you'd like to start, please.
They said Helen. Okay. We presented a drawing of a copy of the floor plans that went in for approval, and the square footage is slightly different than what we're seeing on the assessment. So we just wanted to confirm that our actual square footage, if you look at that drawing, is if you take off the garage because that's not usable square footage, and it's basically the footprint of the house, which ends up being 39 by 31 for 1209 square feet as a footprint on 2 levels for a total of 2,418 square feet. Whereas our assessment is looking like it's a higher number than that. So we were just kind of curious about that and how the determination was made for the square footage.
Okay, I'll allow Ms. Nichols to explain how the assessment department calculates the square footage.
So for this property, my colleague who added the new home into our system noticed that the plans, although you're correct, they showed a lower square footage. They didn't include the stairs on either the main floor or the second floor. So that does happen sometimes for I guess the builder removes the square footage of the stairs, but we do include that in the square footage for the home. So that would be the reason for the difference there.
Can we just confirm what the square footage is that we're being assessed on? I can't find the number in front of me right now.
So I believe it's 2,555 square feet.
Okay, so based on what I just told you, where that includes that number I just gave you of 2418 square feet, that would include the stairs. We didn't remove anything. That's just based on the footprint on our drawings. So I'm still not clear on where that 2,500 square foot number is coming from.
Okay, I can double check and I'll just go into our system here. Just give me a second. Okay, so I'm just looking at the plans that were submitted. So the house, I guess, is a bit of an irregular shape. Looks like there's, there's like a little jet out at the back where there's a mudroom. And then again, maybe a little jet out at the front for the front porch. So
we just take that number of 31, like the drawings show on the front page, 31 feet across by 39 feet, let's call it lengthwise. We're considerably smaller. We're almost 1,000 square feet. Or no, you're 20. What did you say? 2555. We're smaller. There seems to be a discrepancy between what our plans say and what the number is on our assessment.
So, yeah, sorry, the drawings, I'm just trying to take out some of the kind of the jet outs there so that I'm not counting the rear porch and stuff. So it looks like overall, yeah, I think if you want me to take a look at the square footage of the property again, I can do that, but maybe this isn't the best because it will take some time to kind of look at the, yeah.
Okay. That was my one question. And also, I know that we're in a certain block and there are some land influences normally with their property description. Our block is extremely busy. It has high volume traffic. There's been traffic studies done in the past because there's a 7-Eleven on the corner and a lot of traffic. So our block is not as perhaps valued as highly as many others, including where the one comparable is on Cordova. So just some consideration that I think maybe not being included in this piece of the assessment at this time.
Yeah, right now we don't have any land influences for traffic, or actually any land influences for your property.
There's been a few applications for speed bumps on our street since we've been there this past almost 30 years. They've been never approved, but there is a considerable volume of traffic that goes up and down to north and south to the 7-Eleven.
Right.
So we're quite busy.
Right. Yeah, that's not something that is currently listed for your property, but two of the comparables that I submitted do have light traffic influence. So I think, looking at the comparables, I do think that's still taken into account. But yeah, that's just not something that we have listed for your property right now in terms of traffic.
What else? I have one. We had 3 comparables that a real estate agent prepared for us, but according to the date that you were using, it looks like only one of them might be appropriate. And that would be a listing that was sold in 2000. Oh, hang on. No, he gave us 2019 and one in 2018, but it's in July, so I actually don't know if we can use any of them. We weren't sure on the window we were supposed to be looking at for comparables. The one I have from July 2018 is considerably larger than ours. The address is 91 Waterloo Street. So that is in the same block as our home. Its living area is 3,555 square feet with a finished basement. It's a 2-story, 1930 and older. It has, where's the garage information? I believe it has
I should have asked the assessor at this time, Ms. Nichols, do you have any objections to using post-reference sale? I know it's only, it's close to the reference date of April 1st, but any objections or?
Yeah, I do think that since it is after the reference date, it's not a sale that that should be considered.
I wish I had known that date prior to today, that we were looking for comparables, because that really does affect the information we prepared to bring in.
With all due respect, I believe that was included in your package, I believe your appeal package, but
okay.
Yeah, it's I know it's close to the reference date of April 1st, but
I guess just to summarize my point about that one, the property is much larger. The lot is almost 3 times the size of ours, and their tax assessment is $10,342. So about 2/3 of what our new assessment is. That was just sort of the point of that comparison.
As you noted in my opening statement, we do not compare assessments because the current physical condition may not represent the condition of the property at that time, so.
It was sold for $1.15 million. So that's what they would use as the number to create the tax assessment from, so.
No, not necessarily, because there could have been permits taken out after that sale, and the 2022 assessment will reflect any work that's been done on that property since the sale. So that's why we do not compare assessments. The current assessment may not reflect the condition of the property at the selling date. So do you have any other market evidence of homes that sold before April 1st, 2018?
I don't, because like I just mentioned, I didn't realize that was the date that I was supposed to.
Okay. Then perhaps tell us why you think the assessment, maybe give us the history of the demolition and the construction of a house, and why you think the recommended assessment is not correct.
We purchased the residence at 114 Niagara back in 1993. So we've been at that location for almost 3 decades. We love where we are, but our house, given the age, it was 1908 it was built, I believe, originally. It experienced some significant shifting and structural movement that, in order to repair, would have been, I think our quote was $120,000. Anyway, okay.
Almost equivalent to tearing it down and rebuilding. So we chose to rebuild the house.
Okay.
The shifting came as a result of cutting down an elm tree that was on our property, which then all of a sudden brought sunlight to our house. The shifting was significant. The foundation was irreparable. So we chose to rebuild the house. We were able to keep our costs down because we have a friend that's an architect. He's already in the business. He was able to, I know you made comment that you thought it was fairly cheap to build it at that price, that was our price that we built it at because we were able to get outsource appropriately through the friend of our architect. Our house increased in size by approximately, 300 square feet, thereabouts. And our tax base, our property taxes have gone up close to 4 times. We're on the exact same property. We have a 2-car garage. We had a 2-car garage. We're in a house that's now more efficient, using less power, less water, less everything, heat. We're getting no more amenities from the city of Winnipeg. I know this is supposed to be on a sale value, but we could go down numerous houses within the neighborhood that have been infilled that are not assessed at the same level. We've had an insurance assessment done on our house and it came in at
786.
500. So to inflate it to over $1 million was, in my opinion, egregious. That would be the history of the house.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to tell? Okay, is that your argument? Anything else you'd like to add of why the assessment is incorrect?
I don't think so. It just seems disproportionate with the work we've done for the same lot compared to some other homes in the area that are the same square footage and selling in the last few years.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Ms. Nichols, any questions of the appellant's evidence?
No, not really, no.
Okay, thank you. Bill, any questions of the appellants?
The insurance assessment, what date was that?
That's our current assessment that is it's about to roll into effect on October 16th, 2021.
2021.
The dwelling itself is 683.5, and then private structure, which I interpret to be the garage, 102.5, which I'm going to phone them about that actually because I have a question mark beside that myself. But if we add those two numbers together, it comes to 786.
Oh, I heard 658.
It says 683.5 as the dwelling building, and then there's a separate line for private structure, which I'm not clear on what that means myself, so I have to call them to clarify that. But
So sorry, is it okay if I just interrupt for a minute? So this is the replacement value of your home from your insurance company? Okay. Sorry, I thought you said it was an appraisal. So it's the replacement value of your home, or what it would cost for your insurance company to build your home if something catastrophic happened. Okay.
Okay.
So, okay.
What value do you think the house, what should be valid? What do you think it should be valued at April 1st, 2018 then?
April 1st, 2018, it was the old house at that point. It wasn't torn down.
No, as of the condition that
today. I'd say that the insurance value is what I would expect we would be able to sell it for back then. Seven, somewhere in the 7.
How much would you add for the lot then?
That's a hard question because I don't know how we determine that. It's not separated out in our taxes anywhere, and that information isn't really available. And when we bought our house in 1993,
It was $99,000 for the house and the lot.
Yeah.
So maybe I can ask the assessor in that area, what are the lots worth per square foot? Any idea?
Our assessments don't separate out the lot value from the building value either. So yeah, I'm not sure.
Nobody knows that. All right, no further questions.
Thank you, Bill. Ian, any questions of the appellants?
No, I don't. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I do have a couple of questions. Okay, so you bought the house in 1993. You demolished it in, was it about 2017? Would that be correct?
2018?
2018.
November of 2018 was demolition, I believe.
Okay, and maybe Ms. Nichols, I'll ask you, when was the effective date on this new construction? Do you have a?
Yeah, I'll just double check that for you. Okay, so it looks like it was August 1st of 2019.
Okay, so there's a partial year assessment. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So to the appellants, do you remember receiving a reassessment notice reflecting the new construction on the property in 2018?
I don't, I have a file. We've had a kind of a ridiculous life for the last couple of years. So it's possible we may have not read it properly until we got our assessment, the most recent one when we filed the appeal.
Okay. So we have you took out the construction, pardon me, you hired somebody to do the plans, you hired somebody else you did all the contracting yourself, is that correct?
We worked together with the contractor who was our builder.
Okay. When was the house, when did you move back into the house?
We moved back in July of 2019.
July 2019. That's when it was fit for occupancy, is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. But you don't remember whether, it doesn't matter, it's in the past, but okay. So the assessment came into effect 2020, 2021, and 2022 for about $1 million, is that fair?
I have a paper from June 2019 for $440,000 still, and I have, I guess we have this, August 2020.
Yeah, what about 2020?
So that was last August. We would have received that, and then.
So I guess my point here is you never filed an appeal for 2020 and 2021, is that correct?
No, we didn't.
Okay. Okay. Now let's get, so the demolition, how much did the demolition cost you on the original when you were demolishing your house?
I don't have any of the information with me as for the new construction costs. I believe the permit, would the permit say $22,000?
Yeah, but what was the actual, does that reflect the actual cost or was it more?
I can't speak to that exactly. I would imagine it would come in close because that was the quote that the contractor would have provided along with the demolition permit.
Sir, can you remember how much the demolition cost?
No, I don't remember the exact dollar value.
Okay, and construction cost declared value by the builder, I guess, was, I assume the builder took out the permits or did you?
The builder took out the permits.
Okay, and what was the actual cost to you for construction?
I don't have that information with me today. I didn't know I needed to bring them.
Sir, do you remember?
I think they would be very close. I think they'd be a slightly higher than what the permit would say. I think our budget came in around, because I'm sworn today, I don't want to say, so I'll say roughly, I think we were close to the 500,000, maybe 520 mark. I don't remember exactly.
Okay, fair enough. And you said that was, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you said you got a deal on the construction. Could you detail what you meant by that?
Well, we were working with him as a early part of his contracting business, so there was no builder markup on any of the goods or services that were attached to the construction.
Was it a friend of yours or?
Yes.
Okay.
He was launching his new company, and our house was his first project. So.
Okay, so he did the foundation work, or he hired somebody to do that, or did he just do?
Hired some trades to do everything.
Okay, so he hired somebody to do the basement first, and then he framed the house, I guess, put the windows in, and then he hired sub-trades to do the interior work, drywalling, electrical, plumbing, and heating, I guess. Is that fair? And he'd given you a price for completing all that work. Is that right?
I don't believe we actually had it was paid, we paid as we went. There was a budget figure up front attached to the project. I don't know that we ever actually reconciled it against finished costs, but yeah, we paid for in installments as we went along.
Okay. Thank you for that. And what is the lot size of your property, width-wise, width and depth? And do you know, got a ballpark figure?
40 by, it should say on here somewhere. I think it's 40 by 120.
Okay. And from the site plans that you submitted for the construction of the house, it looks like there's the rear attached garage is meets the standard, let's say 5 feet in from the lane. Would that be fair?
Correct. We were in abidance with all property line regulations.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So from my calculation, demolition plus construction costs, you're probably into the house for, I'm going to say, would it be fair, 575,000 around there? Maybe I'm a bit high, but 550 around there.
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Okay. Now let's go to that. And you mentioned the insurance replacement cost. That would be for the structure only on the property. That would be replacement of the home if it was damaged beyond repair. So you're at about, let's say, $780,000 plus the value of the lot.
I'm not, as I mentioned, I'm not exactly sure what this private structure designation is on our. So they're calling the dwelling 683.5, the value of replacement for the dwelling.
That's the heated area, I guess, including foundation if required. So then we have the double attached garage, and I'm not sure if you have any sheds or decks on the property at all.
Okay, yeah, that means, okay, so then, yeah, so the
Yeah.
786.5 is the two numbers from the other.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm not equating that to market value, but that indicates the value of the current cost of construction, I guess. Okay. Okay. My last question is, have you ever had a market evaluation on the property?
No, we haven't.
No. Okay. And you made a statement, I believe, to my panel member that do you think the assessment should only be about 700? Was it 50,000?
Yeah. I think we'd be happy anywhere around $750,000, $800,000. I think somewhere in there, I think would be fair.
Yeah. Now, would you sell it for that price?
It's hard to say.
In a pandemic, who knows? Right now, I mean, I think from what I can see happening around our neighborhood, I would not think that the value of the houses are going crazy anymore. I think they've flattened out in River Heights from what I can tell. I don't know that for a fact.
Our intention to rebuild was to stay there permanently. We made the house so that we can age in place, and you know, with this increase, it's making it really not looking like it's an affordable option for us to stay. So.
Okay. And I was looking at the, regarding your comments of 7-Eleven on the corner of Academy and Niagara there. You're located between Academy and Wellington Crescent, and you're about, I think you're about 8 or 9 houses north of Academy, like basically halfway, maybe not halfway to Academy, to Wellington Crescent. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Okay. Those are all my questions for you. Okay, Ms. Nichols, any requirement for a summary on the property?
I don't think so. I think I think the comparables that I submitted are pretty strong. So I'm not going to go over that again, but I did just want to retouch on the square footage issue. So the square footage that we would have would be taken directly from the plans that were submitted with the permit. And so I can definitely take another look at that, but I did just want to mention that, you know, other than like kind of like the base footprint of the home, like kind of, you know, following the foundation outline, there are like, you know, overhangs and other kind of areas that are added onto that often on the main and second floors. And so I just wanted to kind of mention that as, you know, maybe part of the reason that there is a discrepancy between what you're seeing as kind of the footprint of the home and what the overall square footage ended up being.
Yeah, and you do measure on the outside of those
and we measure on the outside.
overhangs and that kind of thing. It's measured on the outside measurement. Okay.
Yes.
It's not the living area on the inside. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Do the appellants have any requirement for a summary?
I don't think so.
No. Thank you.
Okay. Leave it with us and we'll notify you. The assessor is on record as making a recommendation based on the market evidence presented by her. We'll consider both presentations and you'll hear from us as soon as possible. Thank you for appearing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're free to go? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay, that concludes 114 Niagara Street. I think, can we please recess for 5 minutes, please? Okay, thank you, Michelle. I'll now call the hearing back to order. Next property on the docket is 2334 St. Mary's Road, item number 8, and we're dealing with a 2022 realty assessment. Ms. Nichols, when you are ready, please.
We'll just get the applicant affirmed. One second. Can you put, you affirm that the evidence shows the okay.
And I'm sorry, it's unit number. Is it a unit number here? We've got number 140, unit 142, 2334 St. Mary's Road. Okay. How would that be? Okay. Ms. Nichols, when you're ready, please.
I think, yes, sorry, I think the 142 is the end of the file number.
File number, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's 2334 St. Mary's Road. Roll number is 080060555500. This property is in Norman Park. So kind of towards the end of St. Mary's Road. If you're going south, it's on the right side, just kind of a small little area. The property itself, the home itself is a 2-story home. It was built in 1990. It hasn't really had any major upgrades, so it's fairly still original on the inside. Total living area is 3,974 square feet, so it's quite a large home. Full basement, which is finished. 2 full bathrooms, 2 half bathrooms, and 2 showers in the home. Air conditioning, and it does have a built-in attached garage. The total lot area is 14,193 square feet, so it is a large lot. The land influences for this property are It has several. It has heavy traffic because it is on St. Mary's Road, so it does have that heavy traffic influence. It also has a park influence and a Red River influence. So the current 2022 assessment value is $790,000 or $198.79 per square foot. So the comparables that I brought today are mostly in the same area because this is sort of a unique little area. Norman Park is kind of set off by itself. So I did try to stay within the area, although most of the homes in this area are newer than the subject. So comparable 1 and 2 are in Norman Park. They are both 2 stories. They are newer than the subject. So comparable 1 was built in 2010. Comparable 2 was built in 2009. They're both larger homes, but not as large as the subject. So they're still quite a bit smaller than the subject, 1,000 square feet or a little more. Comparable number 1 is 2,880 square feet, and comparable 2 is 2,900 square feet. Both properties have full basements which are finished. They both have multiple attached garages. And the lot sizes on comparable 1 and 2 are both significantly smaller than the subject. 7,345 square feet for comparable 1, 5,769 square feet for comparable 2. Comparable 1 does not have any land influences, so no traffic influences, but also no park or river influences. Comparable 2 does have the park influence. The time adjusted sale prices for those 2 properties were $781,300 for comparable 1, or $271, just over $271 a square foot. Comparable 2 was $748,200 or $258 per square foot. So in this case, because there is such a big difference in the square footage of the properties, I'm kind of relying heavily on the price per square foot, just because it's, I just wasn't able to find any comparables that were that large. So that is something that has to be taken into account. Comparable 3 is also in Norman Park, also a 2-story. This property was built in 1987, so it actually is a few years older than the subject property. However, this property has had some degree of renovation, nothing major, but you can see from the effective year built, which is 2000, that it has had some work done. The area is 2,192 square feet. So again, it is significantly smaller than the subject property. It has a full basement, which is finished, multiple attached garage, small lot area, 6,169 square feet compared to the subject, under half the size of the subject lot. And this property sold for $696,300, or that's the time adjusted sale price, I should say. And per square foot, that works out to just over $317 per square foot. And the final comparable was actually not in the subject area. I did end up going outside the subject area in this case, just to kind of show what some of these properties might be selling for with, the park influence and the river influence. And this property is also older. So 126 River Point Drive is in Minnetonka. That's an area that's a little bit north of the subject property. It is a 2-story. It was built in 1989. There's no effective year built on this property. Living area is 2,800 square feet. So again, it's over 1,000 square feet smaller than the subject. Full basement, which is finished, a multiple attached garage. The lot area is much closer to the subject for this property, 13,189 square feet. And like I said, it has the park and the Red River influence, although not the traffic influence on this property. And so this property sold for a time adjusted sale price of $713,500, which works out to just under $255 per square foot. So looking at the time adjusted sale prices, I just the lowest, which is the smallest property, comparable number 3, was just under $700,000, and then the highest sale price was $781,300. So just again, keeping in mind that all of these comparables are much smaller than the subject property. So looking at the time adjusted sale price per square foot, ranging from just under $255 per square foot up to $317.66 per square foot. And the subject property is at $198.79 per square foot. So already well below all of the other comparables that I was able to find. So I do think that the 2022 assessment for this property is, looking at the comparables, it definitely doesn't look too high to me. Looks, if anything, maybe a little bit on the low end, but considering that it is not renovated and it does need some kind of interior upgrades, I think that the value is fair at $790. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Good morning to the appellant. Ms. Gruel, do you have any questions on the evidence presented by the assessor so far? On her brief?
I think she mentioned it already that the first two are actually newer properties, the Comp 1 and Comp 2. And Comp 3 and 4 is of same age. But I know the Comp 3 because that property, whoever lives there, when this was sold in 2016, we actually looked at that property too. There was a major renovation, not just a few. It was roof done, windows done, and that's the that's the major expense when you look at the renovating the house.
Okay.
So I would say that when we bought this house, we bought it for $550 last year.
You know what? No, let's just stick to the assessor's evidence. You will have your opportunity to present your case. Any other questions or notes on?
Are you asking me?
On the assessor's brief? Pardon me?
That's all.
Any question? Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah, you'll have your opportunity to present your case right away, okay? Thank you. Okay, Bill, any questions of the assessor?
So this subject property is right on the river, correct?
It has a river influence. So if you just, I think you can see it on the evidence I provided. Yeah, so if you scroll down to the second page, you'll see the subject is kind of at the bottom right corner of the page.
Yes.
So it's backing onto, I guess, what is a park. So there's a park that separates the subject property from the river, which is just on the other side of the park there.
But you can see the river from the property then? Across the park?
I would assume so, but that's probably a better question for the appellant.
Could the appellant answer that for me, Mr. Chairperson?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
So that would be similar to Comp 4 then, same situation? Park behind, then the river?
Comparable 4. Oh, comparable 4. Yep. Yep.
That is a park behind that one as well?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. No further questions?
Thanks, Bill. Any questions of the assessor?
Just kind of again relating to the park and the river influence on Comp 2. I think that your Comp 2 talks about a park as well as land influences, but is that a park that's across the street and bordering the river on Comp 2?
It's not a street. There's a path that runs behind the houses on that side, and then there's kind of a larger park area, and then the river.
Okay,
yeah.
So similar to Comp 4 and the subject property, there's a park and then the river. It's just a question of how large the park influence is.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if there are trees. I have been there, but I can't recall now if there were some trees in that larger part. Again, maybe the appellant can, I'm sure she's more familiar with her area. I can't recall if there were trees kind of blocking the view of the river for that comparable to or not.
That's right. The other question I had, you've got a land area of some 14,000 square feet. How wide is that property?
It looks to be definitely a narrow and long property. I didn't make note of the like how wide the property is, but I can try and find that information.
Just wondering if it's 100 by 140 feet wide or 50 by 280 feet wide.
Can I answer this?
Sure.
It's actually 56 by 210 or something. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's
Thank you.
50, right?
Great.
56, sorry.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Thanks, Ian. Okay, Jennifer, how far down St. Mary's Road are we? Are we south of the perimeter or are we north of the perimeter?
No, it's just north of the perimeter, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. It's I think like the next kind of area, like there's like a rugby field before the perimeter as well. So it's like just north of that sort of area.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're south of the river, the big housing developments there.
So right across the street is like if you went right across St. Mary's, there's like kind of the last part of St. Vital in there, like
okay.
Berlin or yeah.
Okay, and the subject property on the lot to the south, is that, I guess this is green space along the river, but is there a green space coming back up to St. Mary's Road on the south side of the subject property? Is that fair?
On the south side.
Left,
You know what? There are some little developments in there, like I believe there are some commercial or possibly like condo developments. But let me just double check because
it looks like
I've been down there in a while.
Yeah, it looks like a vacant lot there right now, or a green space along the riverbank. And then, but it does, that green space or that vacant lot seems to come back to St. Mary's Road on the adjacent to the subject property.
Yeah, I think there is some green space along the river. There's a couple of green spaces. Yeah, if you follow St. Mary's, there's a couple of green spaces.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And your comment about the condition of the house, was there a reason for saying that? Has you visited the property or driven by?
No, I haven't visited the property. I did speak with the appellant regarding the condition of the property over the phone.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we discussed, some things that needed to be done. And
yeah. We'll let the appellant explain the condition of the property. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's all my questions. Okay, Ms. Grohl, if you'd like to start, please present your evidence on your property and why you think the assessment is incorrect, please.
Sure. So we bought this house last year for $550, and
okay, we're going to consider that post-reference. Anything after 2018 April 1st is considered post-reference information. So we're not going to deal with the purchase price itself. Okay. You could detail the condition of the house.
Okay.
Current condition. How's that? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So it has everything needs to be renovated, including appliance, including windows, including roof. Like everything is original and outdated. So this house it does not reflect 790.
Okay. Okay. Can you explain why, please? Why you think the assessment is wrong?
So I have to refer back to the selling price. It's this it was in the market for 4 months, and that was the reason that it was not sold. Like it was sold for, if it was market value was 790 and it was sold for 550, and so there was you can think about that, it's like about 200,000 down because it is the value does not reflect. Otherwise it will sell for, like if it's renovated, I think it would go with 700 or 790. And I was comparing this with the other newer houses, my sister's house and all other houses, which the living area is less, but it's newer houses, and their market value is like 590, 600.
Okay. Do you have any market evidence of similar, I know it's a big home. Do you have any market evidence of any homes that sold prior to April 1st, 2018 for us to analyze?
No, I don't.
Okay. Okay. How would you like to explain the current physical condition of the property in windows, roof, any problems with the property structurally? Can you explain that to us? Give us a picture of what the home is currently, the current condition is.
Yeah, so if I start with the roof is original and need to be replaced, so shingles are coming off. It's a cedar shingle shakes, and we got a quote, and it would be about $60,000 to replace it. And the windows, some of the windows don't even close, so we had to actually close them permanently, just by whatever my husband did. So everything is outdated.
Okay.
Cabinet, like the things, I don't know how to explain it. The wooden part is peeling off, so everything is outdated.
Okay. You know, maybe I'll ask you specifically on items. So the floor finish, is it carpeting, hardwood, and what's the condition of that?
It's carpet and it's original. Only there's one room that's been renovated.
Okay. How many washrooms are there in the house?
There are 3.
4. Okay. And that's those are those.
I'm sorry, 4. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are original also.
Original also, yes.
Okay. So the windows you're having problem with the windows, probably original. The roof is cedar shakes. And you've got an estimate to replace with cedar shakes or with asphalt shingles?
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I didn't bring that information yet.
No, that's okay. Okay. Now, how about the heating, the furnace and the hot water tank and?
Everything is original except hot water tank was replaced 10 years ago, so which need to be replaced again, probably. Furnace, there's 2 furnaces and one of them doesn't work. AC doesn't work. There are 2 ACs and none of them work.
Oh, okay. And no AC, okay. The electrical panel, is it fuses or breakers? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. So the picture you're painting here is that it's original condition from 1980. And you purchased it recently, and that's reflected in the purchase price. Okay. Okay. I'm also asking now, have you done any upgrades at all to the property?
We haven't yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Okay, that gives us a clear picture of the condition of the property and why you think the assessment is incorrect. Ms. Nichols, any questions of the appellant?
No questions, but I think it should be noted, since the appellant did bring up the post-reference sale price, that the department did look at that sale and it was determined to be not a market value sale, although it was listed on MLS. It was being sold by a bank and the vendor was motivated to sell, and so it was determined it wasn't a market value sale.
We'll just leave that post-reference information. Yeah, we'll just yeah. Okay, thank you. Any questions of the appellant at all?
No.
No, okay. It sounds like you had a discussion with the condition of the house prior to the hearing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Ian, any questions of the appellant?
Just with respect to some of the work that needs doing, you've got a quote for the roof. You said that was around $60,000. Have you gotten any quotes for the windows, the cabinets, the flooring?
We did for the windows, just for one room, and it was $33,000. There's 60 plus windows just at the back. So if we have to do, it would be probably $70,000 for the entire house. there's too many windows in the house. And nothing is replaced, and they're in bad condition. Some of them are good, but some of them doesn't even close. So our heating bill is high.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what about the quotes for fixing the air conditioning or replacing the furnace? You've got quotes for that too?
25,000 for the furnace. I think the AC was free. But I don't know when they come. They're gonna, depending on the square feet, maybe we would need 2. So I'm not sure about that.
And flooring or kitchen cabinets? Any
We have.
quotes? Okay. Thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Ian, any questions?
Bill now.
Bill? I assume you mean.
I'm sorry, Bill. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just to clarify again, the original date is 1990, correct?
Yes, yeah.
1990. Because you had said 1980, Robert, or Mr. Chairperson. That's why I asked that question.
Right, 1990. You're right.
No further questions.
Okay. All right, Ms. Gruel, my question starts with, when do you plan on undertaking these renovations?
The first thing we're gonna be doing is furnace replacement, and then maybe from next year we'll do slowly.
Yeah, okay.
We will do furnace first, AC, and then we'll have carpet done, and then we'll think about the windows.
Okay. All right, so, yeah. I'd like to question you on some of the estimates you've got there. So you're saying that 2 furnaces and 2 air conditioning units would cost $45,000 installed?
Not 45, 25 is it?
25. Oh, okay. There we go.
25.
Okay, thank you. And the roof, $60,000. I mean, it's a big home. It's just under 4,000 square feet. Okay. And did you get more than one estimate on some of these estimates, or is that just presented?
Just from one source, yeah, we didn't.
Okay.
We didn't shop around because we were not planning to.
Yeah. Okay. So you haven't given us what you think the assessment should be to reflect the current physical condition of the property. Can you give us a number, please?
Yeah, I was thinking 600,000 if I have to sell this property today. Doing minor renovations, it would be 600,000.
Okay. How is the home structurally? Is it okay, foundation wise?
So far that we didn't find anything wrong.
Okay. No evidence of cracking or shifting on the main floor.
No.
Okay, it hasn't been redecorated in a long time, but okay. That's all my questions for you, Ms. Gruel. Ms. Nichols, could I ask you one question? I know these are deferred maintenance, let's call it that, but it sounds like maybe, yeah, we'll call it deferred maintenance. In the model, would that qualify for like applying like a fair modifier on the property?
None of the maintenance items, not the roof or the windows or that kind of, or the furnace. It would be more things that would, that we see in the model really increase the value of the property, like replacing the flooring, redoing the kitchen, those kinds of things would.
Yeah, they're maintenance. Okay. Okay. Thanks for answering that. All right. Okay, and the appellant's asking for $600,000. Okay. All right. Any requirement for summary, Ms. Nichols?
No, not for me.
Okay. Ms. Gruel, I think we have a clear understanding of I would call it deferred maintenance on the property. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's all.
Okay. All right. Leave it with us and we will consider both presentations by the assessor and yourself, and you'll hear from us as soon as possible. Okay. Thank you for appearing.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes 2334 St. Mary's Road. Next property on the docket is 960 Wellington Crescent. Just bear with me 1 second, Ms. Nichols here. I understand that the appellant is absent now, but I also understand that so 960 Wellington Crescent is our next property on the docket, and I understand that there's a recommendation on the property. And also my understanding is that the appellant in his absence or in their absence has accepted that recommendation. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Ms. Nichols?
I didn't hear from the appellant, so I'm not sure.
Okay, Michelle, can you help us here?
Yes, the applicant was in contact with our manager this morning because he wasn't able to stay. He had another commitment.
Okay.
They discussed the recommendation and he accepted that
Okay. Okay, so Ms. Nichols, can you please detail for the record 960 Wellington Crescent and maybe go through your brief and then the reason for the recommendation and the value for that recommendation, please.
Okay, so the subject property is roll number 12-042-05-0000, 960 Wellington Crescent. It is a two-story property built in 1953. There is an effective year built of 1963, so indicates some level of renovation. Has a full basement, which is finished, air conditioning, and a single attached garage. The lot area is 10,820 square feet. And the property does have some land influences, external corner and light traffic. So the 2022 assessment was $783,000, or is $783,000, or just over $335 per square foot. So the comparables that I brought today are all in the same neighborhood as the subject, all two-story properties. They're mostly older properties. But not too far in age, I guess. So the square footages for each of the comparables are ranging from 2,125 square feet for comparable 2, which is the smallest, and also the oldest property, and up to 2,649 square feet for comparable 4, the largest property. So that kind of brackets the square footage of the subject. All have finished basements except for comparable number 4, which does not have a finished basement. All have some form of garage. Comparable number 3 has a single detached. All the rest have attached garages. The lot sizes for comparables 1, 2, and 3 are all smaller than the subject, ranging from 4,242 for comparable 2 up to 6,429 for comparable 3. And comparable 4 has a larger lot size than the subject, 18,694 square feet. It also has the light traffic influence and an Assiniboine adjacent, so that means it's backing onto the river. So the sale prices are ranging from $574,000 for the time adjusted sale price of comparable 2, up to $771,400 for comparable 1. So that's per square foot. The lowest is just over $261 per square foot, up to $309.67 per square foot. So after looking at the comparables, I just felt that the assessment was a little bit high on the subject. So I'm recommending a reduction to $654,000, which ends up being just under $280 per square foot. And so I think that better reflects the market value. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. Bill, any questions of the assessor?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ian?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Nichols, so the subject is on the corner of Wellington Crescent and is it Montrose, I guess?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. But it's addressed on Wellington Crescent. Okay, it's faces Wellington Crescent.
Yes.
And then the property next door sold 125, their neighbor, I guess, on Montrose. And that's sold in 2017 for about time adjusted $262 a square foot. And that property is older, 1922. Okay. And about the same square footage. All right. And that's sold for $262 a square foot. Okay.
And condition wise, that property was quite similar to the subject. Just in terms of, level of renovation and that kind of thing.
Okay. I do note that there's on the subject property, there is an effective age of 10 years going from 1953 to 1963. Would you know why that was applied and whether that's valid today?
As far as I know, it is still valid today. I actually did try to contact the appellant, but I never had a chance to actually speak with them. But the sale is fairly recent, and there were no permits taken out. So I think, as far as I know, it's
Okay.
the same. So yeah, basically some level of kitchen and bathroom and flooring renovation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And you've included a MLS. Is that post reference? It looks like, or
That
maybe
was
maybe they.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's post reference. We'll leave that alone.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. And your recommendations were revised to 654,000 or $279 a square foot. Is that right?
Right. Just under 280. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 280. Okay. All right. All right. That's all my questions. I don't any requirement for summary. The appellant has accepted the recommendation, so we'll consider that evidence. And so that concludes 960 Wellington Crescent. And the last property on the docket today is item number 11, 2 Air Boulevard. And I believe we've got an appellant. There you are. Morning, sir. Mr. Kurtz. Michelle, could you swear in the appellant, please?
Yeah, just one moment.
Okay, thank you. Morning, Mr. Kurtz.
Good morning.
Before we get started, William, I'll affirm you in.
Okay,
Can you state your full name, please?
William Kurtz.
You affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are dealing with 2 Air Boulevard. We're dealing with a 2022 realty appeal. Ms. Nichols, when you are ready, please just bear with me 1 second. I'm going to find your brief. Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. I am actually making a recommendation on this one as well, and I have spoken with Mr. Kurtz, and he is accepting, or he agrees with my recommendation.
Okay.
So I guess I'll just sort of briefly go through the subject.
Yes, please, and the reason for the recommendation, yes.
Okay. So roll number for the subject is 10003466900, 2 Air Boulevard, properties in Tuxedo. It's a 2-story, built in 1971, living area of 2,594 square feet, full basement, which is finished, an attached multiple car garage, lot area 10,706 square feet with 2 land influences, external corner and school. The current 2022 assessment value is $686,000 or $264.46 per square foot. So the comparables that I was able to find are all in Tuxedo, all 2 stories, all actually built very close to the subject, similar in square footage, all have finished basements, multiple attached garages. Lot areas are similar. The first 2 do have a park influence, which would bring up the value of the property. And so based on the comparables that I was able to find and based on my discussions with Mr. Kurtz, and he did send me some photos of the subject property to show the condition of the property. So based on the comparables and based on the condition of the property, I am recommending a reduction to $530,000 or $208.17 per square foot.
Okay, so we're recommending revision from $686,000 to $530,000 based on market evidence plus the discussions with the appellant on the condition of the property, and that's reflected in that adjustment. Okay. Morning, Mr. Kurtz. So, Mr. Kurtz, you've discussed this recommendation with the assessor, and you are in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Bill, any questions of the assessor or the appellant?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ian?
No questions, thank you.
And I have no questions either. Okay. Leave it with us, and you'll get our decision mailed out as soon as possible, Mr. Kurtz. Okay?
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Meet you, Jennifer.
You too, thank you.
Okay, see you.
Thank you. Okay. I do believe that ends our docket today. We have heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much. Thanks, Jennifer.
Okay, thank you.